So how does a bond actually work in application? Let's go ahead and take a look at the process of a bond. So here, the process. Trust the process. So here, let's go ahead and take a look at a specific example of a company issuing a particular bond. Let's go ahead and say Apple here. So if Apple issues a bond, decides to issue a bond, So Apple needs money right now. So they said that the best way for them to raise money is to go ahead and issue bonds, and this is exactly what they do. And I'm sure that this is exactly what Apple does in the real world. So if Apple decides to issue a bond with a face value, of $1,000, a coupon rate of 5%, with a maturity of for 5 years, so for 5 years. So if Apple decides to issue a bond with a face value of $1,000, a coupon rate of 5% for 5 years, what exactly is the entire process that we see right here? First of all, we notice that all three components of a bond are seen right here. We have a face value, $1,000, we have a coupon rate, 5%, and we have the maturity of 5 years. So all three components explicitly stated with our bond contract. So suppose that you decide you want to go ahead and buy this Apple bond. Say, hey, I think this is going to be a really good financial asset for me. Let's go straight to Apple and buy one of Apple's bonds. So you yourself, you are the buyer. And how much do you think you're going to be paying for this bond? You are going to be paying the market price. So buyer pays market price for bond. Notice here it is the market price that you are going to pay for the bond. However, when bonds are first issued, so you go to Apple on the very first day that they issue this new bond, how much do you think is going to be the fair market price for this particular bond? It's going to be exactly equal to the face value. So here in this instance, just to simplify our analysis just a little bit, when you pay the market price for a bond, when bonds are first issued, you are going to be paying the face value. So here, the face value equals the market price, when bonds are first issued. When bonds are first issued. So here, this is something to keep in your mind. When you go to Apple, right when the bond is going to be first issued, the face value has to equal the market price when they are issued right then and there. It doesn't always have to be the case in application and reality. There are a whole bunch of other bonds that we can take a look at, but we just want to simplify our analysis right here. So when you decide to take your $1,000 and purchase an Apple bond, when that bond is first issued, you are paying exactly the face value. It is the fair market price. So Apple says, thank you very much for your $1,000, and they hand you a piece of paper. Apple is actually free to do whatever it wants with that $1,000. Remember, they needed money so they can go ahead and fund some type of project, some type of other investment, but they are free to do whatever they want with their $1,000. And in return, they'll give you this piece of paper that says, yes, you bought a piece of Apple bond. It's an IOU. So what does this mean by you holding onto this piece of paper? It means that you are entitled to a few things. You are going to buyer receives a coupon payment. So here, you are going to receive a coupon payment of 5%. RECEIVES. So here, buyer receives 5% of $1,000. So here, in order to find out what the specific dollar amount of this coupon is going to be, you need to go ahead, take the coupon rate, and multiply it by the face value. So the buyer is going to receive 5% times $1,000, so the face value. When you take the face value, multiply it by the coupon rate, you get exactly the coupon payment, so the specific dollar amount. And this is going to tell us how much you get in coupon payments every single year. So $50 per year. And how long does the bond last? You get it for 5 years. So for 5 years. So you buy this bond in year number 0, the current time period, and then what happens at the end of the year? You get $50. So basically, Apple is saying, thank you for your $1,000. We are agreeing to pay you this 5% coupon payment for 5 years. Year 1, you get $50. Year 2, you get $50. Year 3, year 4, year 5, you're going to get receiving your $50 because this is what the bond contract stipulates. At the end of the 5th year, however, what is expected to happen? Not only do you receive your $50, your final sort of coupon payment, you're going to receive your face value. At end of 5th year, you will receive the face value of $1,000. So as you can see right here, not only do you get the last $50 coupon or the 5% coupon that you get from this, you are also going to receive the face value back of $1,000. And if you hold this bond from its initial sort of gathering all the way to the maturity date, you're basically guaranteeing yourself your original investment or your original dollar amount back. You put in $1,000 and you get $1,000 back. But over the course of 5 years, you've been gaining $50 per year. So an additional $250, which is essentially your return for letting Apple for lending Apple essentially your $1,000. So in this instance, this entire process of a bond shows exactly why so many people like to invest in bonds, because they are seen as fairly safe compared to a lot of different alternatives. You put in some initial amount and you are almost guaranteed that original amount back, but you are also guaranteed some type of additional payments based off of this coupon payment. So here you put in $1,000, you get $1,000, but you also get an additional 5% right here for however long the bond is going to be lasting you. So this is just a very simplified look at how bonds do work. There are different types of bonds that you will face in your finance classes, which I'll leave to them to sort of explain to you. There are zero coupon bonds, where bonds don't necessarily pay you a coupon. There are TIPS bonds, which sort of are going to change the coupon rate based on inflation. There are other types of bonds that don't necessarily have to have the market price equal the face value when they're first issued. So there are just a lot of variety of bonds that we want to go ahead and take a look at. But once again, that's a little bit complex beyond our needs and our sort of wants at this particular moment in time. And I'll leave that to your sort of finance classes to sort of explain to you. But here, this is just a very simplified way of how a bond works and why so many people like to invest in them, because they are seen as fairly safe and you know exactly what you're getting yourself into when you invest in bonds. Once again, we have 3 sort of components of a bond contract right here. When bonds are first issued, the face value is going to equal the market price. And as the years go on, you notice exactly how much money you're going to be getting in terms of a coupon payment. And if you hold bonds all the way until they mature, you are exactly guaranteeing yourself the face value. However, do you need to hold bonds all the way till they mature? And the answer is, of course not. What happens if you bought this bond in the current time period, but you wanted to sell it off in year number 1, year number 2, or year number 3? Then you would have to be paid the market price of the bond, and that is not going to be equal to the face value. It could equal the face value, but most often it is not equal to the face value. So what we want to go ahead and do is see exactly what the fair market value of your bond is if you sell it at the end of year number 1, year number 2. So you don't necessarily hold the bond all the way till maturity. So with all of that, we need to go ahead and introduce a few more sort of concepts, introduce a little bit of an equation as well, and see why the market price of a bond is going to be dependent on market forces. We'll delve into all of that in the next lecture.